CrowdSourcery is part of the Eastern Promise family, in proud association with Mills and Reeve, achieving more together. The East of England has given the world so much. Art, drama, literature, scientific advances, and feats of engineering. But which ones are the best of the best, the greatest gifts bestowed upon the world by our region? We run down your top choices in another easy peasy, lemon squeezy edition of
CrowdSourcery.
This episode of CrowdSourcery.
CrowdSourcery.
What, already? Was another suggestion emerging from the CrowdSourcerer Supreme of our WhatsApp group, to whose number we have welcomed Richard Dix of Rural Broadband and KL1 Radio. First up, we have Mark Davison, Tech CEO, fellow podcaster and science connector, who has very much gone down the music route. Mark says, I'm going to swerve the Cambridge biology pantheon just for once and go for music. Pink Floyd. See you on the dark side of the moon, Mike. Dr. Tammy Dugan, Life Sciences and Healthcare Partnerships Lead at the University of Cambridge, a super connector and leader, salutes this as a great idea. And of course, I'm duty-bound to quote the Abbey Studios doorman, Jerry O'Driscoll, who can be heard over Eclipse, the closing track on Dark Side of the Moon. It's all dark. The only thing that makes it look light is the sun. Mark Davison, however, has a very apposite rejoinder. Very erudite, Mike. But we don't need no education. Well, quite. Moving on. Andrew Stronach, Head of External Relations at the Quadram Institute, has a member of the landed yet learned gentry for his choice. Ooh, I'm going for the Earl of Leicester. Not the pub, though that's tempting, but Coke of Holcombe and his agricultural innovations. Also known as Coke of Norfolk, Thomas William Coke inherited the Holcombe estate in 1776. He pioneered full-crop rotation and methods of farming we would recognise today. He also made wholesale changes to the estate itself. And, keeping with agricultural food production, Jamie Dady, factory support at Condimentum, helping to produce the finest ambient ingredients, agrees with my point in the original post about Norwich being the place where the first, fieriest brand went on supermarket shelves. Coleman's Mustard. Oddly enough, it's Condimentum that are now responsible for making that mustard today. So it's small wonder that Jamie adds, I'm going to agree with you on Norwich, but then I am looking at it through these mustard yellow tinted glasses. Jamie follows this with a shout-out to the rest of the team. Ahem. James Patterson, Ray Bosch, Jonathan Mason, Kezia Burton Ward, Toby Boyce, Hannah Beer, Alan Forbes, Alan Dickerson, Stuart Riches, Sally Entwistle, Rob Greenwood, and Nick Abbott. Take a bow, people. Dave Graham, Life Science, Medtech, Biotech networker, with more connections than London Liverpool Street at rush hour, hails the contribution made by the County of Essex. Naturally, Mike, says Dave, I'll give you Essex, home of innovation, with the father of fibre optics, Sir Charles Cow, having done some of his best work in Harlow, which in turn has given rise today to Cow Data, adjacent to Harlow Innovation Park. Plus, there's more? Plus, Chelmsford, birthplace of the radio, and Guglielmo Marconi's factory, which first opened in 1912. I should stress there's no truth to the vicious rumour that the jokes on this podcast were first written at about that time. Now we have a wing of wartime wonderment, and flying high is the mighty Tarquin Bennett Coles. Senior partner at SCI Partners, advisor for Little Bean Journey, pro bono mentor for the Homerton Changemakers, and careers in healthcare supporter for the MBA and EMBA students at the Judge Institute. I'm going with Marshall's Airport, which initially opened in Fen Ditton in 1929. And during World War II, the Marshall's Flying School trained over 22,000 pilots for the RAF, Army and Navy. 1/6 of the total number of pilots trained for the RAF during the war. That is an impressive total by anyone's reckoning, Tarquin, and for which we owe them all a very great deal. And now we turn to the interjections of our WhatsApp group, better known as
The CrowdSourcerers Supreme!
Adam Peed, workplace strategist for the science and technology sector, offers great value here with a 3-for-1 offer. Radar has to be up there, Mike. First operational and developed in Suffolk, and one of the most important innovations that shaped our modern world for multiple reasons. There is a great little museum at bawdseyradar.org.uk. That's bawdseyradar.org.uk. And, without the invention of radar, we wouldn't have had the invention of the microwave. A radar unit melted a chocolate bar in a technician's pocket, and thus the microwave was born, and also the Incredible Hulk. Adam continues. The world of literature has also benefited greatly from Anna Sewell writing Black Beauty in Old Catton. And Daniel Defoe, after a visit to King's Lynn, was inspired to write a little-known tale after he noticed the grave of a Robinson Crusoe. The grave is still there at St. Nicholas's Chapel. Indeed, and just for you, dear listener, I went out there and transcribed in great detail the inscription thereon. I shall now read it. Ahem. Down and out, and in his cups, a castaway who's all washed up, who at first was Guinea-bound, and now has sadly run aground. Despite a life anticipating, he now keeps Lauren Laverne waiting. And nevermore to share shall he 8 songs, a book, a luxury. Crusoe ran too many risks to be on desert island discs. After all that, Adam admits that the greatest thing, though, is the Darkness's first album, Permission to Land, simply for managing to put the Barnby Bends and the Acle Strait into one of the songs. Although that particular track is not suitable for the podcast. Adam, unlike Bawdsey, will let that one slip under the radar. Meanwhile, Dr. Penny Hundleby, senior scientist at the John Innes Centre, writes, I've discovered tonight that we invented the hovercraft, or rather, Cambridge's own Sir Christopher Cockerell did. Another of Gresham's former pupils is Sir James Dyson, who received a free education there after his father, a former classics teacher at the school, died when James was just 9 years old. I think we can agree, Penny, that Sir James has repaid that investment in spades. And that's it. That's all we have time for. No, I'm sorry, no. Remember, there'll always be a CrowdSourcery.
CrowdSourcery.
Thank you. Waiting for your comments. Until we meet again, keep sharing the phenomenal magic of the East of England so we can make some more
CrowdSourcery.
CrowdSourcery is part of the Eastern Promise family and a Priors Croft production in proud association with Mills and Reeve, achieving more together.